but the mindset alone is what carries you to the next level. Can you touch on that and how you applied your mindset to where you are today and how that's important for, if you think about the 16-year-old he's up and coming and he's trying to figure it out. Can you touch on how
Yeah.
important the mindset is? What's up, guys? Laren Hampton here with 24 Sports. Welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to have the 24 Sports talk with y'all, guys. Episode number 2. Super excited. Listen, while our conversations are centered around youth sports, there are life lessons that apply to you, even if you're not in sports. So if you're listening, this is definitely for you. So join us for the conversation right here every week. And you can also follow all of our social channels at Play 24 Sports. You can even let me know what you want to talk about. All right. So send me notes, DM me. I want to hear from you. Okay. So for those that listened to the show last week, you'll know that our focus for the next few weeks is around Black history and mindset. So we had an amazing conversation with Taylor Hearn, the great Taylor Hearn, MLB pitcher. He was phenomenal. He dropped some absolute gold on what players should do to reach their dreams and how, and also how families and coaches can support those dreams. Okay. Now, speaking of gold, today's show, we have someone very familiar with the importance of mindset. All right. Now, this guy was in straight beast mode on and off the field. Okay. Check this out, y'all. Fielding Bible Award, 2-time Roberto Clemente Award, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, Red Glove, Blue Glove, Gray Glove. I mean, this guy, he won it all, right? Like, there's nothing that he didn't accomplish during the last season. And so, listen, you can't have a better season than my brother did. My friend, Yankee star catcher, Jose Trevino. Trevi, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? Can you hear me fine?
Oh, man, I can hear you just fine. You sound almost as good as I do right now.
There you go. Thanks, man.
Hey, listen, so I just finished off listing like all of these different accomplishments that you had, last season. And I don't know if you had a chance to catch that, but out of all the awards, when you think about how the past season went for you, which award meant the most to you? You think about the Roberto Clemente Award, the Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, Fielding Bible Award. Like, which one stood out for you that meant the most?
Man, I think I can't put a weight on that. I feel like all of them meant something in their own category. Whereas, for the Platinum Glove, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. Same with the Gold Glove. And then with the Roberto Clemente Award, that's one of my favorite ones, just because it shows, not only what I do, but what we do together, what we bring together, in the off season with our tournaments and have kids come out, play in tournaments and get to experience a fun tournament. I think all of them themselves in their own categories. But very thankful, very honored for all those.
Man, that's incredible, and I agree. I think it is hard to measure. I do think for me, when you think about the Roberto Clemente Award, you've been nominated twice, right?
Yeah.
You've done some amazing things in the community. Everyone knows that, and again, I think it's impossible to measure the levels of giving back too, right? But I'll say the last charitable act was nothing short of amazing, right? Like, I'm beyond blessed to be a part of the experience. And what I'm talking about is the youth baseball tournament that we did that was in San Antonio called Trevino's Birthday Bash. That thing was crazy. Now, it wasn't just any tournament. So the folks that are listening, watching, this wasn't just any tournament, all right? We had Six Flags, blitzball, autographs, food trucks, scavenger hunt, giveaways, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Man, kids were even featured on MLB. So, Trevi, this was a never been done before event, right? Like, talk about your experience with it and how much it meant for you to give back and to be involved in something like this.
No, man, it was 100%. I mean, it was a good effort from all of us and all the volunteers, and I thank the people that came all the way from Dallas, all the way from the Valley, from Corpus Christi, the local teams. It was just a full team effort, fun, and I know we're kind of chopping it a little bit Um, and I think we're already kind of planning for next year, maybe. Not going to give away that location just yet, but I know we're going to have something even better this upcoming year, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun again, and I think it's going to be a successful one once again. But I think it's going to be a lot more fun.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. And thanks for dropping that little hint about a big surprise we do have coming up. I can't wait to announce that one for sure. Um, let's. But hey, man, let's get into a little bit of baseball, right? I want to talk about baseball, but more so about you. So Trevi, we've really been focusing a lot on at least touching on Black history from now and probably to the next 2 or 3 weeks, right, with our shows. And so I really want to touch on who one of your favorite catchers are of all time. I think it's fascinating.
Yes.
Can you share who and why this is one of your favorite players of all time?
Yeah, Mr. Gibson, man. I mean, I honestly, like, going back to what you said, like, if you're ever in Kansas City, Missouri, and you're going to catch a Royals game or you're going to catch a team playing the Royals, I highly suggest that you and go check out Mr. Kendrick at the Negro League Baseball Museum, because that place is unbelievable. Like, every time I go there, I can never. I go there and my mind is blown every single time. One, by the stories that Mr. Kendrick tells. I like to call him Mr. Kendrick because I respect him as a gentleman. But the other thing is just the history, man. Just to see what these guys did just to play the game of baseball, man, and what they loved the game so much. The ends that they went to play this game is just like, it's incredible. It's incredible to watch Mr. Kendrick go about his bit, man. I have fun every single time, and I always go to the gift shop and I buy something every single time I go there. Every single time I go there, I'm like, man, I need to take this part of history with me because this is special for me. I want to be able to tell my kids about it, that kind of stuff, man. And I just think it's a great experience. It's a great experience, and I think that everybody should have to experience, because I just always was fascinated about baseball. I love baseball. I'm a baseball fan, and I was able to take a trip around the infield at the end of the tour. There's a trip around the infield, and they go and I can be honest with you, I had no idea about Josh Gibson, man. But as soon as Mr. Kendrick started talking about Josh Gibson, I was like, this is incredible. The story about this guy is incredible. I love everything about it. And, getting to look more into it, more in depth after that visit to the museum and looking at everybody, man. You could look at guys from Jackie Robinson to Josh Gibson to there's a numerous amount of players that you go to and you're like, man, this is incredible. And their story and their families and what they just did to play the game of baseball and actually be really good at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of you that are watching and listening, Jose is talking about Mr. Bob Kendricks, president of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City.
Yes.
Mr. Kendricks is a legend. And
legend. Story, like the best storyteller I've ever met in my life.
Yes.
Like this man, I'm telling you, I don't care what you're doing in Kansas City. You make a trip to go to this museum and listen to Mr. Kendrick talk. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I mean, I talked with him just the other day, and the stories that he has, you realize that there are so many layers. So when we think about the history, especially when you think about the Negro Leagues, you automatically think about Jackie Robinson, right? Because he was amazing. But then Mr. Kendricks peels back the layers. So there is much that's there that no one knows. No one knows, like, all the great stories, all the great impact. Some of those stories are being told. I'm really excited about what MLB The Show has done with the partnership with them now. That now we have Negro League greats that are going to be featured on the game. I think that's incredible. I know he's super pumped about it. But to your point, You're right, man. He's amazing. He's a legend, and you definitely have to make your way to. I have never been, so I've already talked with him about the date and taking a trip up there because I cannot wait to spend time to get a personal tour from him at that museum, man. I think that's going to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
but hey, along those lines, talking about the greats, talking about the former greats, for you growing up, did you have favorite players that you would just enjoy watching, Trevi? Were there players that you
Yeah.
emulated as a kid? Did you have you're
Yeah.
rocking the
Yeah.
jerseys, or you're at practice hitting like this player, or making diving plays like this player? Who did you watch growing up? Who were your go tos?
Yeah, man. I mean, Derek Jeter was my go-to. Like Derek Jeter was my go-to player. I loved everything about him. I loved what he did. Um, I liked the way he went about his business. The way he played the game, man, was incredible. And what he did coming in as a rookie, ready to play, providing a championship, all that good stuff, man. Just watching him throughout his career as a young kid who was, loved baseball. Again, loved baseball and loved watching the New York Yankees win World Series. Like that was definitely one of my favorite players and somebody I tried to be like for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything that when you think about, let's say Jeter, for example, is there anything that you pulled from how he approached the game? Did you apply any of that stuff to your game as you developed
Oh
and
yeah, man. I read his book. I read his book at a young age. I read his first book at a young age. And just one of my favorite things that he used to do was once the game was over, it was over. It was on to the next one. It was on to the next one. Whether it was he played good, whether he played bad, it was on to the next one. Here we go. Here we go again. You know, and that's what I still till this day I take that in my game too. Like once that game is over, it's done. We're moving on. We're going to the next one. Let's see if we can win the next one if we lost that one, or win another one if we won the one before. But it's always like, all right, let's go get this next game.
I love it. I love it absolutely. For me, it's all about mindset. I'll
Yeah.
tell. eh, Last week we had Taylor Hearn on the show, good friend of
Mhm.
yours, former teammate of yours. He talked
Mhm.
about growing up, he would have a bulletin board in his room, displayed in his room, and on that board it would have his goals, his dreams. Like when he decided, I think baseball is really what I want to do. He protected that
Mhm.
vision. He looked at that bulletin board every single day, kept him motivated through the tough times, protected his vision. So when you talk about mindset, it's super important, right? Even as a kid, developing that mindset. How old were you when you figured
Mm.
out? Wait a minute, I'm having a blast playing baseball, but I think this is something I can do professionally. Like I think I can go all the way.
Yeah.
Like at what age did you
Yeah.
go? Okay, it's time to take it up a notch. I got to get serious about this.
Man, honestly, ever since I was young, ever since I could remember, man, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I don't know. I don't know the age. I don't know where I was at in life, but I knew that I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I knew it was early, man. I was 8 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was like, man, I want to do this for the rest of my life. It was to the point because I didn't like flying, and I still don't to this day, but that's another subject. But I would tell my family, I'd say, hey, like, I'm going to play in the major leagues. We're going to get an RV, and you are going to travel with me, you know, to every single city. And they're like, well, what if you have to go from, New York to California? And I'm like, well, we better drive fast. That's what I would tell them. So, because I didn't like flying, man, but I was a young kid when I knew I wanted to do it. But I say when I actually started really pursuing and chasing being a Major League Baseball player, I was probably 13 years old.
Yeah.
I was about 14 years old, I want to say. I was with my coach, my high school coach. He sat me down and it was like, hey, man, do you want to do this or not? Because if you do, I have the tools to support you, and I want to help you as much as I can. And that's what he did.
Man, that's incredible. When it's a hard thing because you hear kids say all the time, "Man, I dream of playing professional baseball. I dream of playing for the Yankees or dream for playing for this team." And
Hmm.
oftentimes, I've even overheard coaches or even parents go, "Hey, you may want to pick a different dream because that's hard. That's a once in a lifetime,
Oh,
right? Like pick
yeah,
a pick a
yeah.
different dream." Trevi, how did you protect your dream? How did you protect your vision, man, from all the other
Man,
noise?
honestly, there's a lot of sacrifice. I have great family. I have great people in my corner. And I just, at a young age, when people would tell me to do something different, I'd be like, okay, well, you're not my friend. And I'd be like, okay, well, you don't want me to pursue my dream, so you got to get out of the way. You're in this box. And then the people that just kept on constantly telling me, like, hey, yeah, you need to go for it, go for it, go for it. Those are the people I kept around me. Those are the people I kept around me. Those are the people I still have around me till this day. But I protected that with everything. When people would tell me, like, hey, you might be too short to be a shortstop, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. Maybe I'll be the shortest shortstop in MLB. I would always have something for them whenever they'd be like, oh, well, maybe you want to do this. I had a middle school teacher one time tell me that I better get good at playing my instrument because I'm going to be better at playing my instrument than I am playing baseball. So that right there, that motivated me a little bit. But I mean, there's all types of things. There's all types of ways people can be like, hey, I think you need to try something different. But for me personally, I think you just need to keep your head forward, keep moving forward, keep working hard, and keep chasing that dream. Because if there's any, I mean, I'm fortunate enough. Like I'm playing for the team I rooted for when I was younger. I'm playing for the team that I always wanted to play for in my life. Like I was 5, 6 years old saying I'm going to be a New York Yankee, and now I'm doing it. Tell you, when you dream about those things can be real. You can manifest those things. Those things can come to life. And for me, the last thing that I want to do is win a World Series as a New York Yankee, and like that's what I'm going for. That's what I want. That's what I want more than anything.
Man, that's incredible. And you're 100% correct. Manifestation is real, right? Like it starts
Mm-hmm.
in your head, and you have to protect that vision. And not everybody's going to agree with you, and they don't. And I love how you mentioned, all right, well, I have to put you in a box because you don't belong in my
Yep.
circle. Because where I'm headed,
Yep.
then maybe it's none of your business where I'm headed, right? Like, I'm here to do this. The other thing too about manifestation is the action, and
Yeah.
hopefully you don't mind me sharing this story. But I heard you mention that you invested in something pretty interesting with one of your first signing bonuses, right? That I
Yeah.
feel
Yep.
gave back to you many times over. Can you talk
Oh
about
man.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. I got drafted. I was fortunate enough to get a good signing bonus from all the hard work that I put in at a young age. I was fortunate enough to get a good signing bonus, and the first thing I did was like, man, I just got to get better. Like I need access to something that I can get better at. When people are sleeping, when people are resting, I need to be able to step outside and be like, all right, I can go get better here. So I got my first signing bonus, and I invested in a batting cage. I built a batting cage in my backyard. Um, I mean, it took a few days. I say the concrete, everything like that, putting up the poles, the netting, the lighting. And I just wanted that because I felt like if I could do that, I could get one up on my competition
Yeah.
whenever I wanted to, whether that was day, whether that was night. And then I ended up buying a pitching machine. Now, the only thing I do regret is not buying a self-feeder. I think if I would have bought a self-feeder, I think I'd be a better player.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that. But I should have just bought the self-feeder. Um, I should have just bought that. I think that would have been awesome. But I ended up investing in a batting cage and then a pitching machine and turf, lights. It was nice, man. And I go back to my
Wow.
old house and I see it all the time, the building that's there, and I'm like, man, that place was awesome. I used it for maybe 2 or 3 off seasons, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Man, that's incredible because again, this goes back to the mindset, right? When you think about, you hear kids talk about all the time, oh, when I make it, or if oh, this is what I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna buy this new car, or I'm gonna get this new house,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm gonna get the chain or the new whatever it may be. And your first thought was investing in myself is investing in something that's gonna make me better. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that is those are the things that I really want kids to hear, parents to hear, coaches to hear is it's got to be about investing in yourself. All the other stuff is going to come,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
when I think about up and coming youth players, and it's really easy for them to focus on the tangible things. I know you got to work on your exit velo, your pitching, your base running. But can you talk about the importance of developing your mindset as it applies to the game? Because there's a lot more to it than just the hard work physically. There's a
Yeah.
mental aspect that not a lot of people talk about, right? Like when we think about one of your teammates, Judge, who had an incredible season, hit a gazillion home runs. It wasn't just the
Mhm.
physical abilities; it was his mindset, right? Because it's for one, it's not easy to
Uh-huh.
play baseball. It's not easy. I don't care how talented you are, right? But
Yeah.
the mindset alone is what carries you to the next level. Can you touch on that and how you applied your mindset to where you are today, and how that's important for, if you think about the 16-year-old that's he's up and coming and he's trying to figure it out? Can you touch on how
Yeah.
important the mindset is?
I think most importantly, like I have a mental skills coach that I go to, Josiah Igano. I've known him since I stepped into pro ball, um, and he's from All Things Performance. Like the guy is unbelievable. But I think now more than ever, um, teenagers especially need something like that. They need some kind of direction. They need some kind of you know I'm not going to say motivate or anything like that, but they need someone to help them, digest the losses, man. Like the losses are the toughest thing. And especially in baseball, you're going to fail and you still want to do well, but you got to learn how to handle those failures. And that's one of the most important things for me, man, is like, I always talk about failure, 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 but I always follow up failure with learning. I always learn from my failures. Whether I make an error, I'm going to learn from it. Whether I, strike out, I'm going to learn from it. Whether I drop a ball, I'm going to learn from it. I miss a block, I'm going to learn from it. But that goes to show, like, I'm not afraid to try new things. And I think that's what took me to another level was when I was not afraid to fail. I didn't want trying to fail, but I wasn't afraid to fail because I knew I was going to learn from it. Whether that was in practice. In practice, I think you should fail more than you succeed in practice because then you're learning. In games, obviously, you want to do well, but being able to handle that up and close failure where you just made an error and there's another ball coming to you right next pitch, how are you going to overcome that? And I think now more than ever they have they can go click on an app and you can see if you're doing well or not. I think now more than ever they have access to all sorts of apps, all sorts of internet stuff. I think they need help, digesting the losses, digesting the hard stuff, because there's people out there that can help you. And maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's not your mom or your dad or your grandpa or your aunt or your cousin, anything like that. Maybe it's someone outside of your circle that knows you for being who you want to be, not just like knows you since you were growing up, because sometimes those people just tell you what you want to hear and they let you go. You need someone to give you some tough love sometimes. You need somebody to be like, hey, maybe you should think like this. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try that. I just think now more than ever, I think if you're a high school athlete and you're looking to go to the next level, I think you need somebody like that. I think they're just as important as a strength coach, man, to be honest. Like, because like most of the time, man, I'm here to tell you, like, you're going to fail at your sport. You're going to fail. You're going to fail so many times to the point where you're going to want to give up. Like there's been plenty of times where I'm looking, I'm like, man, is it time to stop? But I had those people in my corner, the people that we talked about, the people that I put in my main box that had just been like, no, keep going, keep going. And now for me, I have Josiah. I have, my mental skills guy who helps me, whether it's a breathing technique, whether it's a visualization technique, whether it's a practice, a session, anything like that, it's there. And I just think now more than ever, kids need that. Whether it's, I mean, you could start as young as 8 years old, man. Go ask somebody. Be like, hey, so what do you think I should do? And be like, okay, yeah. He wants to play sports. How serious? Okay, let's see what you got. Because mentality is a lot. Mentality is a lot of it, to be honest.
Man, wow, that is huge. I couldn't agree more. And honestly, it's even the younger kids too. I see, even in tournaments, the competition, I see where teams, these youth players, they fold. The coaches, they fold when adversity strikes, right?
Mhm.
and you can just see the whole energy just get sucked out of the whole team, the parents,
Mhm.
because no one has focused on developing how to get through adversity. Because
Yep.
the goal should not be just to get to the destination. It's how do you
Yep.
sustain? Because Trevi,
Yeah.
wrong or right, once you make it to the big leagues, it's not smooth sailing from there, right?
No, it's
The the
probably even harder, man. It's probably even harder than ever. You got to stay there.
yeah,
You got to stay here. There's no more going up. There's no more going up, but you can go down. So it's almost like you got to stay above. You got to stay above it. You got to stay above it.
it's the staying power. Like
Yep.
if you think about anyone that's successful, staying power is so underrated today, right? And I think the
Yeah.
youth community, when you think about competition, has become so focused on rings and banners and posting them on social
Mhm.
media and let's get the win that we're even getting to a point where coaches are under so much pressure more than big league coaches to win. It's crazy because parents
Yeah.
just want to win. And I say this all the time. We have to redefine what winning is, right?
Yeah.
And I'll use a quick example. The tournament event that you had in San Antonio, there were some South Texas
Mhm.
teams from Corpus Christi that I saw them on Saturday. They took a loss and they were not sad about the loss. It was like, oh yeah, tomorrow we're coming. Like, let's go. It almost
Yeah.
became like a rejuvenation for them that the fact that they lost,
Yeah.
there was an
Yep.
energy going into Sunday. And I've seen
Yep.
teams when they lose, oh, it's the end of the world and now it's over before the next game even starts. So you can see
Yep.
the difference and
Oh man.
the thought
Yeah.
process on adversity. And I've even had coaches that they don't want to play really good teams. They want to make sure the schedule's easy because hey, we got to get some
Yep.
wins, you know. And
Yep.
you're not helping those kids because the truth is when they face
No.
adversity, even as a coach, even as the parents, getting through
Yep.
adversity even when you lose will help take you to the next level because to your point,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the big leagues. It could be the big leagues in life. It could be you,
Yeah.
you're a lawyer, a doctor, an entrepreneur. You're gonna go through
Yeah.
challenges, but have you had several reps on losing, right?
Yeah. I would rather take the harder wins than the easier wins. I would rather go into if I was a young kid, I say I'm 10 years old, I would rather go into a game knowing that it's going to be hard and win rather than like, oh, okay, we're going to this tournament, we're going to win the tournament. No, like I'd rather go to a game knowing that, man, this is going to be a hard fought battle. And if we win this game, oh man, that shows so much more about us.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that shows like for character, that shows for us like getting better as a team, me getting better as a player, rather than going and being like, okay, well, we know we're going to beat these guys, so it doesn't matter.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Because getting through that again, that goes back to the intangible stuff. The rings and banners are temporary, but the stuff that really
Uh-huh.
lasts is you overcoming adversity. That sticks with you for a lifetime. I mean, Trevi, did your college coaches care about how you played in that tournament when you were 11?
No, I'm
Right?
telling you, no.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm.
But the those things are temporary. The banners, the rings, the trophies, all that stuff is going to end up in your attic somewhere, right? That stuff
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But the stuff that sticks with you, that really truly develops you for you to become successful, right? Because when I think about your path and what you've been through, everyone sees the stuff that's on TV. Everyone sees, oh my gosh, Trevi's won all these awards. He's a star catcher now. He's doing all the, and they don't know. Well, wait, it wasn't a straight path, right? It wasn't a straight line. There's some things that you have to overcome, but you have to decide that you'll never run away from adversity. So to that point, it's so important that coaches, parents, everyone's aligned that hey, if we take some losses, it's okay, right? Because it's how we respond to the
Yeah.
losses. It's how we develop through those losses. That's the staying power
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, man.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
I love it, man. Well, one of the things that, and I know you have, you're a big vision guy, big dream guy, and I've seen you do this before, Trevi, in person, and I've also seen this on TV too, where you'll sign something, but below it you'll say "Dream big," right?
Yeah.
And everyone has a definition of dreaming big, right? But I know from personal experience with you that dream big isn't something where you're going, hey, dream big, but it's an imaginary thing. It may never happen. You mean like dream big, go
Yeah.
get big, right? Can you
Yeah.
break that down for people that maybe have never heard that before, but what does
Yeah.
dream big mean to you?
Yeah. I mean, just for me, like when I write that or when I see that, that's for me. For me, is I'm telling a 5, 6, 7 year old kid, 8, 9, 10, whatever, a kid that, yo, like, go get it. Like, I see it, go get it. I've been there, go get it. I've been in your shoes, go and get it. Like, you can do it. Because for me, I was that kid, man. I was that kid that sat there watching the TV, and I'm like, man, that stadium's big. Those lights are bright. That's a lot of people. That's a good player. And I was like, I want that. I want to do that. But at the same time, like we talked about earlier, man, it's hard work. Like everything, there's dream big, there's the saying, but underneath it, there's hard work, dedication, sacrifice, lifting weights, practicing baseball, mental skills, having your family around, like all that stuff, man, go under it. And I just feel like if you can sit and look, if you can sit and dream and imagine where you want to be when you're quote unquote older, like where is your dream taking you? Because that's not just your imagination anymore. That's a dream that you have. And I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy on if you dream it, you can do it, man. If you want to go do it, go do it. But you got to understand there's some things that are going to be, expected of you. And I found that out quick, man. I found that out at a young age, 12 years old probably. I was like, oh, okay, I can't hang out with these friends. I know why, because I'm dreaming big. I can't hang around with these friends. I can't go to this, birthday party. I can't go to this, get together. I can't miss this tournament. I can't miss this practice session. I can't, stay up late. I got to do my homework. I got to pass my classes. The list goes on and on and on. But when I think of dream big, it's like, man, you put whatever you have in your mind. You want to go do it, go after it. But understand that there's going to be some sacrifices.
Wow. Listen, you're preaching right now, man. And I think that when you talk about sacrifices and paying the price, here's the other thing too. You're going to pay the price either way. If you don't go after your dreams and you don't just go after your visions, you're going to end up doing some things in your life that you don't want to do, and you're going to be miserable doing that thing. And that's a sacrifice. That's also paying the price. So why not change the way you look at it and go, if I'm going to pay the price anyway, why not pay the price for doing something that I really want to do, regardless of what anyone else says, right? Like, we think about this big vision that we had with your tournament, back, when we did the birthday bash. And all this feedback that everyone, like, oh my gosh, you guys were at Six Flags and you had dinosaurs and all this stuff. That was a vision. That was dreaming big. But we had the mindset going in, Trevi, right? Like, why not? Why not have dinosaurs? Why not shut down Six Flags for the day on a Friday night? Right?
Yeah.
And it's not an arrogant approach. It's I fully believe this is what I want to do. And guess what? If anyone were to say, oh, y'all can't do that, you can't do that, oh, there's no way they're going to let you do that, well, we're not going to entertain that. As a matter of fact, the next time you call, you're going to voicemail, right? Because it protects your energy, it protects your vision, and I think that's the approach that we need to have, right?
For sure, man. For sure.
So I love how earlier you mentioned the support from your family, and I've been around the Trevino family a lot now. I feel like I'm a part of the family now. But Trevi, I'll say it's very noticeable of how important, because Taylor touched on this in the previous episode as well, that the family played a really big part in ushering him to where he is today. That support system, that protected circle, that even when the outside world says it's hard, the outside world says, come on, get a different dream. It was the family that navigates you through all this stuff. Can you just touch on a little bit how important it was for you? I mean, you have a very solid, cohesive unit, not just when you were a kid, But even today,
Yeah.
man, even today,
Yeah.
that unit is even stronger than ever. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, man. I have a great family. I mean, starting off, with my wife and my kids, they're great. They're awesome. They support everything I do. All my crazy ideas, every single one of them. Some of them might be a little too crazy, but we'll save those for another day. But my sisters, my mom, these people have supported me for so many years. And I look back at last year, man, and I see all the success I had. And I like, man, they're like, man, you work so hard, but like, I always think about my family. I always think about the sacrifice they made when I was a kid. Whether that was me driving 45 minutes to go to school and 45 minutes back to go home. What is that? And I was glad I was able to represent them in a good way last year. And it's amazing. It's amazing what family means to you, what family can do for you, how much influence they have on you. And if you have a good one, hold them tight, hug them, love on them forever, and lean on them when you need something. Your family's always going to be there.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I love that. And when you think about, it's funny you touch on last year because last year was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, dude, I don't know if you could have a better season than you had, but again, it was a crooked path. It wasn't a straight path, right? There's being traded. There's being in a totally different environment, right? There's new city, new team, um, going into a system that you're not familiar with, and the end result is, you know, making a run in the playoffs, winning all these awards. But if you rewind from the moment before you even got on the plane to head to New York, what's your mindset on everything? Like, hey man, did you know that I'm gonna go out? I'm gonna win something. I'm gonna go for a Gold Glove. I'm gonna win Platinum Glove. I'm gonna do this, do that. Was that your mindset
Yeah.
going in, or was it just being the best version of yourself? Period.
Just be the best version of myself, man. Just trusting my work, trusting that I put in a lot of work in the off season, and I always have a hard time, especially around this time of the year when I'm getting ready to leave. I'm always like, man, did I really do enough? Like, did I do enough? And I'm here to tell you, like, it's okay to question yourself because that's what people do. Successful people are always like, man, I could have done more. Always. If you're sitting at home and you're like, oh, I'm getting ready for a big exam, and you're like, nah, I'm so ready, I'm ready, and you're like, I'm going to be like, okay, that's cool, great, you prepared, but like, I know that now that I've asked plenty of athletes, I'm like, man, did you ever feel ready, like, for the season? Did you ever feel ready for this? And they're like, nope, I just went in, and then all of a sudden, I was prepared. Those moments that showed up, I was prepared. So it's always hard for me this time of the year because I'm always like, damn, did I really like prepare the way I wanted to?
Mm-hmm.
Did I really get ready the way I want? And then like you turn around and you're like, man, yeah, of course I did. Look at what I did. So for me, like I got on the plane headed to New York, and the first thing that came to my mind was win. I just wanted to win a championship, and whatever I had to do to do that, I was going to do it. And it just so happened that you know, I was reaching for the moon, man. I fell in the stars. I was reaching for the World Series. We didn't get it, but I fell and I had success. Defensively, I did what I had to do. But of course, there are things that I will always want to get better at, and I'm always going to chase, and that's the World Series, man. I don't want to stop until I get one.
Man, listen, I absolutely love it. I'll ask you this, and then we can move towards the wrapping up. But Trevi, this has been incredible. I can't. I mean, I hope people are taking notes. Okay, this is some really good stuff. If I'm that 13-year-old kid, because you talked about 12, 13, that's when it kind of really got serious for you. There's a lot of kids around this age that they're probably being told a lot of different things of what they need to do to be successful. Do this, do that, focus on this. This is what you need to do to get into college or get that baseball scholarship or play at the next level. Everyone's got an opinion about what you need to do, but Trevor, you've been there. Just quickly, what do you tell that 12 or 13-year-old about his dreams and how to get to the next level for him or her?
For me, I think one of them is to trust yourself. You're going to be your best coach, no doubt. You're going to be your best coach. And if it doesn't feel right, respectfully say, hey, it doesn't feel right. Is there something else I can do? Is there something else that I can, try? But we talked about the box of people that you need to have, the support system that you need to have. Those people really, really matter. And the sooner you find those people, the sooner you're able to lean on them, the sooner you're able to ask questions to them, the sooner you're able to get advice from them. For me, man, trust yourself. Trust yourself with everything you have. Know that when a big situation's coming, you've practiced for it, you've prepared for it, you're ready for it, and just be in the moment. Fail, succeed, do okay, learn from it.
Wow. Well, I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up, Trevi. That's incredible. And I'll tell you this in the spirit of preparing. I will, I'd say at the end of the season, when you're done, you're wrapped up. We didn't get a chance to battle each other on blitzball, and let me tell you, I'm gonna spend months working on my craft.
You better start training. You better start training.
Just make sure you're ready, Trevi. You make sure you're prepared for Mr. Hampton on blitzball.
All right, I'll take you up on that one.
All right, man. Hey, listen, I really appreciate it. This was incredible, for sure. Good luck this season. I know you're gonna kill it, man. I cannot wait to see all the good things you're gonna do. And you have a good one. All right, we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. We'll see you.
All right, man. Later.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Oh my gosh, y'all. Solid information. Again, the mindset. I cannot stress this enough, preach enough, how important it is. Trevi talked about how he would protect his circle. He would only have people around him that were aligned to his visions and his goals. If anyone was speaking against that, anyone said, you can't do it, you can't do this, or you shouldn't do that, he wouldn't entertain it. He would not entertain it. And I think you have to, if you're a parent or a coach, think about this approach and how important that is. If kids have big dreams, that's great. You got to help usher them through it, right? And at 11, 12, 13, they're not old enough and developed enough for you to say what they can or cannot be, right? So protect that circle, protect that vision. That's super important. Over the last 2 weeks, we've learned about getting a bulletin board and looking at your visions every day. Trevi talked about putting action to your visions. No matter how hard it is, put the work in and stay prepared and believe in yourself. Listen, all those things are in my mind, the recipe for success. And we just heard it from a Gold Glove winner, a Platinum Glove winner, a star catcher for the Yankees. We just heard his blueprint. And he didn't have a straight path to get there, y'all. So I think that the biggest thing that we also could take away from this is not run away from adversity. Adversity is one of the key things to help elevate you, because guess what? It's not about just getting to your destination. It's about what you're going to do when you get there. It's the staying power. So life isn't about just collecting wins. Use those losses as fuel so that you could develop into your staying power, getting through tough things, challenges. Those are the things that takes you to the next level. And if you research Jose and how he did last season, look into what actually happened with the trade and new environment, new city, new team, new everything. The mindset that he had to have, the preparation that he had to have to now position himself to be considered one of the top catchers in Major League Baseball today, right? So that's it, guys. Listen, I'm going to wrap. Outstanding show today. I cannot wait to hear and see what we're going to be doing next week. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. We have another exciting guest, really big topic. We're going to stay on Black history, mindset. We're going to continue that, okay? So remember, you can follow us at Play 24 Sports on all social channels. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.